Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sewing Room Declutter Challenge 2025. I'm Karen Brown, and together we are going to clear out the unwanted, the unwelcome, and the no longer necessary to make room for 2025. Now, it has been a crazy Christmas season. I'm sure that you are in a similar situation. It doesn't really matter whether you celebrate Christmas. Hanukkah's coincided with Christmas, but it's just a very, very busy time of year. There are places where the school year is finishing. There's places where kids are out of school for weeks on end. And there's just a lot of family gathering between the food and the guests and so much. There's nothing that you need to do today to get ready for the Declutter Challenge in January 1st. This is just sort of a prep talk and talking about how you can mentally prepare for the Declutter Challenge. First, I'm just going to say hello to so many people here. I cannot believe it. We've got people from Germany, people from the UK, people from all over the US and Canada. It is lovely to see you this morning. I don't know about you, but I had an absolutely beautiful day yesterday, surrounded by my family. And my son, my husband, and myself made Christmas dinner. I'm going to give the lion's share to my son, and it was just lovely. Everybody pitched in a little bit, and it's just so much easier when the load is spread out over lots of people. We even had a guest in my next door neighbor, who my dog and her dog are best friends. She was also able to come and be with us. So it was very nice, smaller than normal, but still very, very nice. And this is the first time in a long time that Christmas was snow. In Toronto, we have a little bit milder winters, and the snow really doesn't stay on the ground till January, February. So all around a wonderful day, and I hope that you all had a wonderful day too. So let's start about talking about the Declutter Challenge. So this is the 5th year that we've done the Declutter Challenge. You can raise your hand in the chat if you have done it before. I know most of you that have done it have found it just as valuable as I have found it. Even though I've done it in past years, it's not like I have a huge room or a lot of mess to clean up, but I definitely have things that need to go back where they belong. And there's some decisions that I can make this year that I wasn't able to make last year. But just understand that this year, you're also a different person from last year. So many things have happened. Not only are we a year older, but the people around us are a year older. The world has changed drastically. Hard to believe how much things have changed. And if you've done it before, you are able to make slightly different decisions than you've done before based on this new situation that you're in. So, for those that are doing it for the first time, welcome. It is a wonderful challenge. We can be so much more successful and so much more creative when we are able to dump and clear out our brains. It is, though it seems to be a very physical one, in the end, it ends up being much more of a mental declutter. Because when you don't have so many items in your space, your brain doesn't have to worry about where does that go? Where does that go? What am I going to do with this? Those decisions are gone, and you can focus on the things that you do like to do. So let's just start with the first point. To be ready for January 1st, it will help you a lot if you are prepared with your donation boxes. Things that are leaving your space have to go somewhere. So I normally have 4. I have 1 for donations, I have 1 for recycling, I have 1 for garbage, and I have 1 for returns. They're going someplace else. I'm either giving them back to a friend, or I have a friend that I know that can use it. Donations is fairly self-explanatory too. I'm lucky. I have a guild challenge, a garage sale at the end of the month where we all bring in our excess sewing things, be it fabric, books, tools, whatever, and we have a garage sale. And it's sometimes I'm one of the best customers, but your items can go on to people that are new to quilting and they can really, really use them. I know that there's people, I just see Genevieve has said that she's watched in past years, but she hasn't actually done it. And you know what? That's just part of the preparing. Some years we're just not mentally or physically able to do it. I know I have a guest in the house right now who my son will be leaving before New Year's, but sometimes you just can't get into your space, or sometimes you just don't have the extra capacity, whether mental or time-wise, to do it. Just know that the challenge will be up on my site until, I usually leave it up until November 30th. People who ask me, why do I take it down? It causes all sorts of administrative issues on the back end if we have past years up there. So you've got until November 30th. Grab a timer. Now, we live in a world where we have tons of timers. Even my cooking fan has a timer on it. But you don't want to, you can just use one on your phone. Most stoves have one. But my favorite one is this one. It's in the smallest increment is 5 minutes, then it's 15, then 30, then 60. And depending on the challenge, I will use different ones, but I try to keep myself working in 15-minute increments. That just the reason why I choose 15 minutes is because I can easily get distracted. And having the timer go off reminds me, oh, remember you were doing that other task over there. So that's one reason why I will do it in 15 minutes. But there's times when I actually do it in 5 minutes. I believe it's day number, I think it's one of the days I prefer to do it in 5 minutes, just because it's a task that just needs a quick burst of energy and I can fit it in. Like before I go downstairs to have breakfast, I can fit it in while my water's boiling for tea. I can do another 5 minutes. And some people ask, can I do it in other places in my home? And I find that I am always invigorated to do it in other places in my home. After I do my 30-minute challenge in my sewing room, I'll often do a drawer in the kitchen. I often do reorganize my closet. And again, it's decluttering. I just said organizing, but I really mean I'm just decluttering. I'm getting rid of clothes that are out of season. And when I say I'm getting rid of, often it just goes into a suitcase and I put it in my storage room to bring back out. And some things I make the decision that I'm never going to wear again. So, but just in the kitchen yesterday, I realized my kitchen needs a good declutter too. So I'm going to, after I finish my sewing room, I'll go there. Now, the Declutter Buddy. A Declutter Buddy can really help you, especially if you've got something that's overwhelming, especially if you may have an injury or a physical impairment that you can't get to the top shelves or you can't do heavy lifting. So grab a Declutter Buddy. I have my son who often I call in to just help me lift something or get up on those really high shelves. But as I'm doing the declutter in my kitchen, I'll definitely have him on side because he does most of the cooking now. The other thing is really important is just to have a really good picture in your head of where you're going. We so often have these Instagram photos or this ideal kitchen this ideal sewing room that's just impossible to have, because if you're creative, you're going to have mess. And mess is different from decluttering. Mess is, you're using things and you put them in piles, but at the end of your project, you'll be putting them away. Decluttering is for those items that you're no longer using that are taking up valuable space in your sewing room. And often they can be big items so that they can be front and center. and you're always working around them. But it's really important to have a good picture of where you're going. And I know now that, I can have very clean surfaces, and that's really what I'm looking for. But it is never going to be in a magazine. It's just not beautiful enough. The other thing is mentally commit. So often we feel that these things are all or nothing. I missed day 2, so I can't do it anymore. You just do it at your own pace. Some of you work very long hours. Some of you, again, have commitments, and you don't have to do it all in 21 days. You can do it in 30 days. You can do it in 40 days. You can do how it works for you. These are just guidelines to help you push through. The other thing is, don't beat up on yourself when you miss one day. It's just so easy to go into that spiral of shame. But commit to 15 minutes and you'll be just amazed at how much you can get done in 15 minutes. We think it sounds like such a small amount of time. How can that possibly make a difference? It does. It does. So if you can just make that commitment to yourself that you're going to do 15 minutes a day, maybe you'll be able to do the whole 30. Maybe you won't. It's your choice. Sorry, I've just got a little piece of fluff in my mouth here. You also have to know your limits. This is the other main point. So often when we go in to organize, we think it's all or nothing. Like we have to organize everything today, this week. And I'm really going to hold you back on stop saying that you're organizing. What we're trying to do is declutter, because it's very hard to organize and declutter at the same time. I use the analogy of reading and walking. You can do both, but you never really do them very well. So decluttering is getting those items that are taking up space that you're no longer using. And we do things in 15 to 30 minutes because those are good energy bursts that you can give to time. And it's not so overwhelming. As I said before, we can do practically anything for 15 minutes. So when you finish that first 15 minutes, you often have the energy to do the next 15 minutes. But the really important thing is to stop after 30 minutes, take a break, do something else that you need to do, maybe make yourself a cup of tea or change the laundry or something like that, just to give your mind a moment to have a break. Because we often don't think of we often don't think of mental stamina. We can understand the physical stamina, but we don't think of the mental stamina. And sometimes decision making is really, really hard on the brain. And the way that we have organized the Declutter Challenge, you should be only asking one question every day. So if you find yourself going in 1,000 different directions, take a moment, refocus, and figure out what is that question that we're asking today. And if you're not asking that question, you've moved on to something else, and you may be doing something that's too challenging. So what is new for this year? Is there anything that's going to change? Well, the categories often change just slightly. Our first week is very much the same because we're warming up, we're getting ready. Often, if you're like me, you're bringing in sewing things from other parts of the house and reorganizing your sewing room, putting the furniture back where it belongs because it's been out of place while my sewing room has been a guest room. Some of you use your dining room table and you might have used it for family meals this past week. So it's the first week is really just kind of getting into the groove. What's changing is every 7 days, the 7th day has traditionally been a rest day, and it can continue to be a rest day for you if you need it. But this year I'm doing it as a hotspot day. There are certain places in our home and in our sewing room that just become the dumping spot. Like you come in and things just go there, or you've got a whole corner of your room taken up by some project, or more than likely another type of project that has nothing to do with sewing. So for me, my very first hotspot is going to be about my photography equipment. It's just amazing how that clutter is around, and I have it in my sewing space because of course I film, but there's so many bits and pieces there that I no longer use, and they get in the way, and that's what the hotspot did. No longer have to hold on to them. There's things that have obligations behind them. You're holding it on because this was your mother's, or this was your grandmother's, or this was an aunt's or something, and you feel obligated to keep it, but it's not serving you. There's memories. You know, there's all sorts of knickknacks and memories, delightful memories. Not all of this is bad memory. But you realize, you know what, you don't need to keep this whole binder about it. You can just survive with a much smaller slice of it. So I'm always interested in those. So please, when you have them, please share them online. I try to share them when I have them. And yeah, it's the silver lining of the Declutter Challenge is the personal growth that you recognize. Now, I have some questions here, and I am just going to see whether I can share my screen because, let me just check here. Somebody's asking how to download the I'm in button. So let me just go to my scenes. Sorry. New scene. I'm working in a different program than just YouTube Live here, and I am where are we? I'm not even in the right spot. Oh, here we go. I'm here. Okay, so let's see. How do I here? I think this is it. Oh, and I've got to open system preferences and all this other stuff. Wonderful. Sorry, guys. Ecamm Live. Okay, unfortunately, I'm not able to share my screen unless I quit this program. I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to cancel that. So let me just go back to my default scene here. Here we go. So let me hold up my phone. So if you go to Just Get It Done Quilts on your phone, okay, so here's Just Get It Done Quilts, and on the very cover is the Sewing Room Declutter Challenge. So you can just hit that register button, and then we cycle down till we get to the I'm in button right here. So all you need to do is hold it, double tap it, let me see, hold and press save, and you should get, I've had a difficulty with it today. You should be able to save it. Okay. If you're on your computer, okay, that's something different. I should have tested this beforehand, obviously. My fingers are just not as... On your phone, hold, press save. Here we go. Hold, press. I apologize. I know on your computer you right click it and it should save. And this has worked for me in the past. Is it just this one picture? Yeah. Okay, it's just the one photo that's giving me grief. But you should be able to... Somebody putting it in? I think the audio is cutting in and out because I'm using my computer audio and I'm looking away from the screen. So, the next question was, is there an amount of time each day that I should stop at? My room is a disaster. Well, you can only do what you can do. So don't think that you're a superhero here. You've got other parts of your life that you've got to give your energy to as well. So start with 15 minutes and just try and do as many as you can in 15 minutes. And again, don't be organizing. What you're doing is you're just answering the one question. And on the first day, we do garbage. So if you're not asking the question, is this garbage? Then you've gone off track. And that's the way that you need to focus. You're not trying to clean it all and make it all pristine in the first week. We are going through and we're trying to get items that don't belong or no longer serve you out of your sewing space. And then at the end, you'll understand how much space you have to organize in. That's the reason why you declutter first and then organize, because if you try to do them together, you're not going to be answering the questions that you need to ask. You'll get distracted by where it should go or buying another bookcase to hold all your stuff. If you're thinking of buying more furniture, you're definitely on the wrong track. We're trying to put less furniture in your space so you have more room for your projects that you are doing. Can you give an idea of how the days are laid out? I am organizing my fabric. Well, that's fine. You can organize your fabric at any point that you want, but the decluttering of your fabric and your supplies we do in the first week. So the first week we get rid of things that don't belong in your sewing space. That's and paper items. The next week we work on your tools, and the last week we work on your projects. So that includes fabric, UFOs, batting, all those items that you use to make projects. Okay. Machines. I need my serger, but I have a sewing machine out. Can I keep them both out? You can keep them both out if you have the space. And that's often the decision that we're making all the time. Do I go for a whole year without using your serger because it takes so much effort to get it out of its spot and onto a table? I played with my serger all through this declutter challenge, all 5 years. The first year I moved it. I thought it was in a good spot and still never really used it. Then I put it in another spot thinking that that was going to be more accessible, and it wasn't. I now have it at my studio, and it's out all the time. And I don't say that I necessarily use it a lot, but when I need it, it is available. So I'm also going through that with an embroidery unit that I have right now. It's tucked away. I have all my embroidery stuff together, but it does take a lot of mental energy to pull it out and actually use it. So I understand that. We have a question. I am a new quilter and I want to know how to prevent having too much fabric as I begin this craft. Well, too much fabric is... How do you describe too much fabric? I know probably what you're trying to get at is getting too much fabric that you're not going to be able to use. And it's very challenging. But as a new quilter, there's so many mistakes that we make with fabric when we're a new quilter because we just don't understand what we like to work with. We don't understand what techniques we want to learn, that we like to use, because you're just in that stage of exploring it all, right? And you can be highly influenced by the quilter next to you. So if you follow someone, you might start choosing fabrics that they like to use because they're making such beautiful, beautiful quilts. And then you realize, you know what? I don't like working with those colors. And I've gone through that process as well. And you sign on to do projects or group projects. Everybody's doing something and you follow what they're doing and realize, you know what? I don't like those. I don't like this type of technique. It doesn't work for me, or it doesn't work for me right now. That's another thing. Sometimes you don't like doing things right now because it's just too fiddly, but as your skills grow, then you can revisit it and you may find that it's not, you actually enjoy doing it because you have these other skills to fall back on. So for me, it's very, very hard to advise a new quilter on how not to get too much fabric. But the one thing is, when you're doing a project and you're following a pattern, don't overbuy. So many of you out there will worry that, oh, if I make a mistake, I won't have any more, so I'm going to buy a couple of extra yards. And you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You can just buy what you need, because most pattern designers have built in already a wastage. I think they usually do 25%. So that's already a lot of extra fabric. So that's the one thing I can point you to. The other thing is fabrics that you don't like. You may have people around you that think, oh, she's a quilter, I'm going to give her all my mother's old fabrics, or I'm going to, that aunt, she's just gone into a nursing home and we're going to give her all our sewing stuff. On the surface of that, it sounds very generous, but those things often come with a lot of junk. So be very mindful of those type of things. I had my mother give me, I think they were 3 bags. She had a friend that was clearing out her fabrics, and they came in and they were all in fabrics that I don't use when I quilt, like terry cloth and wool, and it was just crazy stuff. It was suitable for pillows and in curtains, but they were also all in colors I don't like. So I just passed them on. They were all just donated. So those are the things you can avoid when you're a beginner. Mozilla has said, I have a huge staff that I think I should reduce. Would you wash fabrics that I've sat on shelves for years before selling off? No pets, no smoke, just aged fabrics. No, I wouldn't wash them. The person that you're going to give them to will wash them. If they're a person who likes to wash fabrics, will wash them regardless what you've sent them. So I wouldn't bother even with that extra step. There's going to be enough energy that you're going to burn in selling off your fabrics that you don't need to add that extra step. Or you could ask them once they've been sold, do you want me to wash these before I send them? And more than likely people will say no. That's it. Okay, everyone, look at this. Look at everything. So if you want to, I'm going to record a short of how to do the Declutter Challenge I'm In button for anybody that wants it. So what can you do today? You can go and sign up for the Declutter Challenge. You actually have to opt in for the Sewing Room Declutter Challenge to get the emails, because just the strict laws that are out there regards to spamming, unless you opt in specifically to the Declutter Challenge, I am not allowed to send you those emails. The next thing is to download the I'm In button and share that on your social media profiles. You can join the Facebook group. It has reopened today, so you can jump in there and meet and share photos with other people that are doing the Declutter Challenge. And some have done some pretty amazing declutters. They've started, and it's overwhelming. And just know, anybody who feels overwhelmed, just know that we all feel it. I did it myself when I was just looking at my space just before Christmas, and I just went, oh my Lord. Am I really doing this again? And I could feel my whole body just sigh, like, and then I realized, oh, this is just that declutter overwhelm that everybody feels, where you can push through it and just keep going. You can watch the declutter playlist. I have all sorts of videos on how to organize, why it's so hard, mistakes not to make, and other things. And so where can you find the Declutter Challenge videos? So if you subscribe to my channel, you'll get a notification in your YouTube feed every day that there's a new video. In the email that goes out every day, there'll be a thumbnail that you can just click on, and that will take you to the video. It will also take you to the blog if you want to go there. Then there's the blog. If you subscribe to my blog, or you prefer to read it over watch it, you can go to the blog. Now, what's the difference between the video and the blog? Excuse me, sometimes the blog has a couple more photos. It has a couple more bits of behind the scenes. It may have just a different flavor about it, but essentially it is the same. Some people prefer it that way. Some people prefer it the other way. And yeah, so you can leave your comments on the video. You can leave your comments in the Facebook group. You can put them on Instagram just with the Declutter Challenge 2025 hashtag. There's just a number of different ways that people will find. And you sign up. You can, right on my homepage of my website, the register button is front and center. That will take you to the Declutter Challenge page. And that's where you sign up. And if you scroll right down to the very bottom of that page, I also have all the videos listed there, and they will be added on a daily basis. Okay, so it should be easy. It should be fun. I say don't stress. I know some of you still have a lot of stress with some of your items that you've got to get through. I know some of you are packing to move. This is a really good time to declutter. I know some of you are moving into new spaces. This is also a good time to declutter. I will be turning my guest bedroom back into my sewing room, which is also a good time to declutter. And, you know, this is the time of year where we want to declutter. We want to get rid of all those old decisions that no longer serve us, and husbands or their partners choose to start decluttering. I have noticed that phenomena as well with me. When I do the Declutter Challenge, my husband goes into his stuff. Even though he is a pack rat, he will go into his stuff and part with some things. I think he has every electrical cord from every device that we've ever owned, but I'm hoping every year that maybe this is the year that he decides that he doesn't need quite so many. And yeah, I know there's woodworkers that follow this challenge. There are crafters, scrapbookers, and they just modify the days to suit them. So if you're in one of those brackets, just remember the first week is about getting out what doesn't belong. The next week is about going through our tools, and then the next week is about going through our stuff, our materials that we use to create. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for Gina for jumping on this live with me, and is in the background there, just answering all your questions as well and providing you the links. The link for this, I'm not sure if Gina has put the cube timer. I'm not sure if she's put the link in the chat, but you will definitely find it on the Before We Begin blog. There's a link on there. And I'll put it in the notes for this video. Okay. Well, thank you all very much for showing up. I'm looking forward to a healthy, safe January in 2025. So take care, everyone. See you later.